to be asked to come here to the NAV Tech Days. And you all say NAV, don't you? Some people say NAV. Some are really pure and go, NAV, must be NAV. That's really pure. In America, they tend to say just NAV, don't they? Because everything's got to be quick and snappy in America. They don't have time to say individual letters. They have guns there, life is shorter. NAV, 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 NAV!
My name is Luc van Dijk, webmaster of Meduso.com and as such organizer of NAV TechDays. Michael and Thomas told me they have lots of stuff they want to show us, so let's dive into this and get around this. So don't despair, just go to the lab you want to visit, wait 10 minutes, and hopefully you're lucky and you can get in. At the main area, there's a view per day in chronological order. We have participants from 41 countries this year. This is a new record. Here you can see the evolution of the 4 years of NAV TechDays, the total number of participants. It started in 1999 as FinaVision.net. It was renamed in 2002, Meduso.com. Modernized our logo. This is the new one. And people are working on a new website. I can show some pictures, how it looks so far. So we have a new main portal site or main homepage. Enjoy your conference and please welcome on stage Michael Nielsen and Thomas Ellsberg.
So whenever Thomas and I arrive here at Tech Days, we enjoy reading the movie quotes outside. And the most famous one is, of course, "I'll be back." But we read with that we are back, all of us. And the other one is "Make My Day" by Clint Eastwood. But you already made our day because we have 800 people here to write the code. Another thing is that when we did this Dynamics Online payment services, we made an encryption library in there. We'll get to that, so thanks. So instead of doing the same mistake over again and creating a new way of doing that in the app, we create an encryption library. Basically, there's a set of functions where you can.
I still want to talk about it, but that's fine.
It was my mistake this time, so you can continue.
Whenever I see that in action, I get thrilled. And you know, the 3 tablet clients, and I call it the 3 tablet clients because it appears to be 3 tablet clients, are basically only one. We use a framework, an open source framework called Cordova, a single client running across 3 platforms, which is pretty cool. And then the inner working of that is then mixed in with the web client, so we only because it is really difficult, you know, have to do one essentially when we are at the bottom. Again, looks very differently, but the controls are the same, the metadata is the same, the application running behind it is the same, and so forth. We have a ribbon up here, which is an navigation model, it's different and so forth, but behind the scenes it's the same thing. Being structured that they are, it's not like we could remove all of them, but getting to less than half is a fabulous thing, and we can see it in our performance measurements, we can see it in the UI responsiveness that the tablet client is.
Really not suited for end-user customization. Also, there's some limitation of word reporting, so you're not getting the magic silver bullet here, but a combination. So basically what Word is that it's a notepad with some extra. Basically from the dataset designer, you get an XML description, And with that, you can go in and create a new Word document. And once you get a hand of it, it's very easy to create these documents. Also compared to ILC. Okay, so once we're done here, we can go back and now I tested this and I can go and say I want to look at the custom layout. I can choose the one I just created, and now you're ready to go and your users will be able to use this. Okay. Back to you, Thomas.
Okay, thank you. I'm scared about this guy sometimes, really. You know, it worked. Huh? Amazing, amazing. Well,
it wasn't even your code, Thomas.
No. The other thing, you know, that Michael was saying before with the thing that Marcus said, that he said it to me at lunch, and what he said was the following: do you know when you're getting old? And I kind of know because I don't feel I'm getting old at all. That is kind of when you sit down and you go, ah. And then I start noticing I do that all the time. It's freaking annoying, right? And now we need to fix it there, or we need to backport into W1, we need to move it, we also need to backport into earlier versions of the product, and so forth. Same thing with regulatory features that I implemented in a given country release. Where do you put it, W1 in the country release, move back and forth and so forth. We have all these troubles ourselves. We need to focus on trying to solve what I call the square problem here. Knowing the model, knowing to know about fields and so forth, not just the text file of the exported application object. On the cloud, if you have a repeatable solution, if you have something which you need to multiply 100 times, it'll be extremely tedious to do it. So there needs to be a way to do that using a command. You need to save data that's been overwritten if you do changes to field structures and so forth. So you have what are the prerequisites? You have a run where you preserve data. You have what we used to call buffer tables, and then you copy from the buffer tables first letter and last name fields. It will go search for a method somewhere describing how should I handle this thing. And what we basically do here is we encode, tell it, whenever that happens, please do a copy of the entire table 888, deliberately I use the numbers here, to table 889. So that's a copy operation. So that means when I deploy this code unit in a file to a customer side, the system, when it detects the difference in metadata, will automatically go look for this method, and in here lies the recipe for how to handle this situation. Enumerating the old table, what used to be known as the buffer table, the 889 table here, looping through all the records, and for each record we look up the 888 record and then populate the name field with first name plus space plus last name.
To have total some documents that you don't have to go into other pages to see that, getting rid of all the stuff that you don't need, and also the new enhanced queues that we put in, and overall the new mini app or simplified UX that we're providing.
Lots of things. There will be no Mythbusters this year. Unfortunately, we do not have time. We will come up with other things like a Jeopardy show next year, I think, where we'll have categories like, how come Michael's still here? Being able to hook any method without the method itself knows that it's being hooked. And that's a big difference, because that means that you, from a subscriber standpoint, tell the system, I want to hook onto this method, and here's what I need. I need these two parameters. Subscribe to, tell me whenever there are red balls put into this queue, whatever. And then you can go to sleep. And somebody else can put the red balls into the queue, and when you wake up and the day after and reboot your machine and so forth, you can ask for all the red balls that was put into the queue. It's a queuing mechanism in its essence. Thank you very much for attending, and have a really good show.
There's not many slides.
ID fields to the entries.
year, Luke asked me, okay, can you do, it's okay, you have this black belt thing, but can you do the beginners thing? So last year I did .NET for beginners and .NET black belt thing. And then Luke said, can you do something like in between, like for mere mortals, he said. So I said, well, okay, I'll do something like that. So, who is mere mortal? Do that. Next step, what I need to do is a string to store this binary information in. There is no date in .NET. So, similar thing with assemblies deployed into global assembly cache. So, it is always a good practice, even though for global assembly cache, it is a prerequisite to sign the assemblies with the store. So properties are essentially methods. This does not explain, though, why NAV doesn't expose them, why you don't see them. That's really strange decision by Microsoft. And you can get the context of exception. But the answer really to your question is no, we don't have any kind of exception handling, any real exception handling in .NET Interop. And we're deploying DLLs in production environments. Let's see who's better. Okay, sorry. Just one disclaimer about PRS shirts. They come in different sizes. So if size doesn't match, like contact us, the PRS folks, especially Mark Brummel.
We started writing down design patterns. I think currently we have about 60 patterns, but I think there's way more in the application than what we have now. If you look at the screen, you see things that you might recognize. And most of the PRS patterns are part of the implementational patterns. They are more the way how I design things, how do I write code, how do I hook into codes. Because it was a big release. And next year we'll have Corfu. And typically, if you look at how a customer treats the versions, they would skip a version, upgrade from 4 to 2009, upgrade from 2009 to 2015. And this is not the way we want customers to experience NAV. Follow is to be always current. They want us to be always current with our add-ons, and they want us to be always software with our customers as well.
Three types of development that coincide with the development of the partner organizations that we're all working in or for and sometimes against. And if you add another agent to the equation, let's say a paramedic, it should of course be a different agent who is related to this one, but we kind of in coding sometimes put them sort of in the middle and let him do the same thing. Looks into your software, you will have a hard time understanding what you've done. To translate this here into code, so that you maybe get an example of what I'm talking about by means of code. Echo tells me about JavaScript. I always wonder, when does this guy start coding? He just collects functionalities that already exists and sort of puts them together. And that allows you to build new functionality and automated batch functionality on existing and already tested code. We have a method declared on the class which is called post-accruals. The code unit name is post-accruals or post-accruals. Development, I need to warn you, becomes boring. But actually implements the action, the method that you want to execute from the class. It makes sense for me to sort of try and...
In a database. Yeah, well, that's okay. But it's just a unique identifier on any record in a database that is not derived from any of the application data. So it doesn't care about what you have in the record. It's just there's tons of ideas where we can create things that we can reuse on any record in the system. Having them in keys. And the other thing was that GUIDs or any other way of creating a unique identifier would require me to put code on every table. I didn't want to do that. I want to put my footprint as small as possible. Then I can create my functionality. In this case, again, I'm using the comment table just because I think it's a great example. I create my comment table, functionality, standard out of the box, no special features.
Software is we make a FOB file, and then we send that FOB file to the partners, and they then start playing around with it. And basically what we think is that with the PowerShell, a new star is born, and a new star is the Delta file. Database, they import the FOB file, they export the text, start merging it against their own software. To step one, so it will move the data out, and it will allow you to apply schema changes. And then after the FOB file has been imported, the UI of the development environment allows you to execute all the upgrade routines. So the thing we want you to start thinking about when you get your hands on playing around with NAV 2015 is to think about the upgrade code unit outside of the traditional upgrade context. And it's basically a platform to do any data conversion with any FOB. So anytime you're doing an implementation, you have something where you want to apply data conversion, think about doing the upgrade code units as a solution for that. A very tiny version of a data dictionary, but it's better than having nothing. I'm really happy with this feature. We got automatic merging. We can start thinking about Delta files. So there's actually a lot of things that started happening in the last couple of years.
I don't know if Microsoft will clean up its own code, because you said something that habe ich mich erschrocken. Ja, ze hebben wel wat normalisatie. Zo worden al die
server, in the easiest case, it's just moving a slider from 16 gigabytes to 32 gigabytes and the problem is resolved. Nowadays, you don't even have to restart the machine. Problem done. If you find out that all business processes are designed the wrong way, that you have to cut open and decode units, system models, and recreate from scratch. So it has such a high frequency to really get a sharp picture. Downside is, this assembly or this collection roughly collects about 100 megabytes per hour, so this is nothing you should run during all day. What I recommend is to do this kind of performance monitoring during different times in the day, so maybe two. So you need to be aware of the limitations that a Windows server has and an SQL server has. There are limitations with respect of using the number of CPUs. So cost for an enterprise edition nowadays is a decent German car up to a small house. But most of the NAV queries are plainly stupid simple. So if you ever have looked at the vision query and select command, filter, where, that's for Microsoft. And for NAV, best practice is to switch it down to one. One means one query is one thread. So we suppress all kinds of periodization, which is fair enough for the vision, but of course it's stupid for anything that is intelligent in the system. So those of you knowing still the old native C-side server. C-side server is just a data pump from disk to client. It's just a pump station. Not SQL server. SQL server is only loading the data from the disk if necessary, and then it tries to keep all the data in the memory as long as possible. And in this old hard-sizing guide, they were telling you it is based on the database size. If you have a small database with 1 gigabyte, so you should have an SQL server with 3 gigabytes of RAM. Grade 5 level is an absolute no-go for any physical drives for databases. So never ever, if you have a physical array, never ever put a database component in array 5. Structure that every server had its own storage system. They had all these their own drives and everything. But this is a challenge regarding administration.
Yeah, I know.
Last one, Microsoft certification exams contain PowerShell. We don't do exams anymore, we don't need that. NAV is as simple as it is, so, and the output of this function can be used as an input of this function, right? We all do that, like that. But how we would do that in PowerShell is like this. So the output of this command, let's just suppose this is a command, completely wrong syntax, but let's suppose it's a command, can be used in this command, and the output of this command can be used in this space. I have an original company, I want to rename it or copy it to the NAV TechDays 2014. Now my main merge should be able to run. This is my main merge script. I'm .NET framework to .NET PowerShell session, the standard stuff to open a run space in NAV. Okay, I must apologize for that because I haven't been playing with the language commandlets too much.
Options copy and move. These are the options which back up. So my field update will be propagated to SQL. If my field contains data, then upgrade option check will fail, and I will get an error message that my change could not be saved. And within an upgrade instruction, you have the specialized triggers that you can define. So table sync setup makes sense during upgrade step 1. Schema synchronization, this is the placeholder for your upgrade instruction. Management add-on, I think we're ready to release the new update for our add-on.
Alright, that's good news. I think our customer will be really happy with these improvements and also with the fixes we got from Microsoft with the latest cumulative update.
Right, oh,
You did apply it, right?
No, actually I haven't done this. I haven't seen.
Okay, well, no problem. I heard that with the new merge tools, it's really easy to apply such an update. Consider our vehicle management solution the target version, in which we want to merge the changes. So now it's reading from each of the 3 input folders, those 133 objects that were still in there, comparing original with modified. And you also get a conflict file, which is basically the delta between original and modified, minus the changes that could be applied. So it's only, we filtered all the other folders to only contain the objects that were changed from the update. But actually we put a condition around them. So I will just take the ones that were changed to and put those in the condition. And there's a cool way to do that with PowerShell. I'll just grab the history, what we just did, and I'll take the command line.
import FOB synchronization dialog, and the reason is, as Anka demonstrated, I have a table in my FOB, so I have the synchronization option that I can choose to validate. And imagine, it's like you have 42 employees sitting doing upgrade for you across 7 companies simultaneously. And you are utilizing all the resources on your machine. And notice this data upgrade is a asynchronous process. So you can start it also for multiple tenancies parallel. So imagine you need to design the functions in a way that they are independent. They are not blocking each other, exactly as demonstrated here, and then you can only run the failing upgrade function. Okay. Thank you very much, guys.
Thank you.
Bij wijze van spreken, maar even te vergelijken.
Oké.
En
Maar je moet er wel zelf nog iets voor doen.
Those ones we also group companies, and we can have expiration date and things like that one on it in here.
And we are going to talk about design patterns from the latest NAV. If it's a lucky day, then you get to work on new features. You read the morning news or check out the weather. Our life has become everything about software, and we interact with it with almost every step that we take, which are very specific, actually. They have just one record, they have the key that is empty, and then you can get this record. And if you're lucky to use an option type, and that option type definition is changed by adding one more option, for example, you have to change your function signature again. So, assign default values into the fields of the table. For example, I want the number of copies for this VAT to be by default 1 from the standard code. And here is an example. On the left side, you can see NAV code, it's code unit 80. And on the right hand side, you can see Waldo's code.
So what we really want to do is to make as many changes as possible when we're adding new behavior or extending existing behaviors. Forest of ifs. It has as many if statements as a forest could have trees. Then that just brings us the same idea of using data to control the behavior of an algorithm, if it is generic enough. So let's try to use a pen and a piece of paper to write down these criteria. As we look at the example we have today here, I know that I have the customer number in the statement line, and just an explanation of something is missing, something needs to be changed, and that is a subset of the overall list that those services can offer.
After we have created a document line, we validate it by time, number, navigation variant, unit of measure, and then we fill in quality and basic tag, but unfortunately on RDC, it could crash. So that's why we also implemented that pattern here in the report 19 using that Microsoft 11 or 12 years ago. We also got those guidelines handed out by people. But you know, put it in. Let's isolate that into a procedure and have only that little thing there. Look a bit dodgy, just for the fact of the many lines. And also I know that this is only a... We don't have a huge refactoring project going on that plant yet. But I must admit also, MC Hammer is close to code unit 80 from time to time. This is a high risk function